Small spoilers for Whole Cake Island ahead. However, we know that Big Mom has the hobby of collecting rare creatures and keeping those creatures within a book modified by Mondor. Said creatures stay eternally useful, right? And interestingly, Sanji's siblings during a cover story were trapped in said book. Now, with that being said, what is so funny about all of this in hindsight is that Sanji is actually the rarest of the genetically modified humans under Germa, because what is so funny about him in comparison to his siblings is that, unlike his siblings, he has passion. He can actually feel despite being a Germa mutant. So it's funny that even though two of the Germa siblings were captured, namely Yonji and Niji, the important one, the rare one, the one who can feel Sanji, did end up getting away. And I find that funny because then after their cover story, they get away as well. So Big Mom loses the whole bunch of rare creatures when it comes to the Germa siblings. But the crown jewel, I do think, was actually Sanji, because he is the one that stands apart from his siblings. He is the one who develops, and he is the one who has the unique regeneration that doesn't require outside help, which too is interesting because then that develops in the second arc, of which Big Mom's a big part of in Wano. But in talking about his physiology, I think his whole random spontaneous combustion is a physiological thing. I never thought that was a hockey thing. I think it's always been because he is a weird mutant. And I'm not entirely sure how that makes sense, because what's so interesting about Sanji's physiology is that even back in the Baratier arc, it alluded to the idea that he was completely fire resistant because he kicks Pearl when he is on fire. And the fact that he can just do that at that early point makes me believe that he's always had that in him. But the interesting point in this development, which I think prepares him for Enies Lobby, is when we get to Skypiea and he's shocked by Eniru, because that is the only time he's ever been burned by anything as far as I know. So I think that strengthened his body more to develop Double Jumbe when we get to Enies Lobby. And then further on, after the whole backstory of him being a Germa mutant is revealed, and after his genes are woken up by his raid suit, I think him then developing further is still a physiological thing. And he even goes into detail about it when he unlocks Ifrit Jumbi. So I think everything combustion based surrounding Sanji has always been a physiological thing, which makes you think, is he really that different from his siblings? And I think so, because he's experienced the hardships that they haven't experienced. Perhaps they have it in them to develop like he has, because they aren't completely emotionless, but he is the rare jewel here because he has been tested under pressure and he has become what he has become because of the trials and tribulations he has gone through throughout his life. So I just find his physiology a very interesting subject in his development, because you can point out little bits and pieces in which he could have grown from those scenarios and those battles, which leads us to where we are now in the current story. So I just wanted to talk about that. And I think it's very, very interesting when you really sit down and think about it. And he is a rare animal in that case, because he is something that his siblings simply are not. But with that being said, if you're enjoying the content so far, click the like button. And if you want to see more from me, click the subscribe button, followed by that bell so you never miss a video. In addition, if you could, please hit the hype button because it really does help. With that being said, give me your thoughts and tell your friends about Polypede. What's it?